The galaxy was quiet. Stars burned in silence. Planets turned in their endless orbits, and space stretched wide like a black ocean. For many civilizations, this silence meant safety. Fleets patrolled their borders, colonies mined their worlds, and traders moved from one system to another. Life followed its normal rhythm, but silence does not last forever. At the edge of a forgotten sector, an old listening post picked up something strange. It was a signal, faint but sharp, moving through the void with purpose. The alien operators froze. It was not the usual chatter of merchants or the encrypted codes of militaries. This signal was clean, heavy, and steady like a heartbeat. They sent word to their commanders. Soon, fleets from nearby systems were dispatched. Warships gathered, their crews ready, though none of them knew what to expect. Some thought it was a distress call. Others whispered of pirates or smugglers with stolen tech. But deep down, each officer felt a chill. Something about this signal was different. When the fleet arrived, they found it. Floating in the darkness was a ship unlike anything they had ever seen. It was massive, dwarfing even their largest battleships. Its shape was strange. Sharp angles mixed with smooth curves, like a design meant not only for war but also for endurance. The ship looked ancient and new at the same time. Its surface was scarred with marks of past battles, yet its lights glowed with fresh energy. No one could identify its origin. It was not from their empire, nor from any neighbor they knew. The commanders tried to scan it. Their computers returned answers that made no sense. The ship's material could not be measured. Its core burned with a power far beyond their technology. The crews grew restless. They whispered to one another. Was this ship a weapon? Was it alive? Was it abandoned? One officer spoke the word out loud for the first time. Humanity. The word spread through the fleet like fire. Long ago there had been rumors of a species called humans. Legends told of their wars, of their rise and fall, of their disappearance into the unknown. Many dismissed these tales as myths, bedtime stories told to frighten young cadets. But now, staring at the massive warship, the officers were not so sure. Their leaders debated what to do. Some argued they should retreat at once. Others demanded they fire before it fired on them. A few wanted to try communication. In the middle of this chaos, the warship remained silent. It did not move. It did not aim weapons. It simply floated, waiting. Then, without warning, the ship stirred. Its engines came alive with a low hum that vibrated across the void. Its hull lit up, one section at a time, until it glowed like a giant beast waking from sleep. The alien crews gripped their seats. They watched in awe and terror as the Titan warship powered itself fully, its size now clear against the backdrop of stars. The silence of space turned heavier, pressing on every mind. Even the bravest captains felt small. Their fleets, armed with the best weapons of their age, suddenly seemed like toys in comparison. The ship did not attack. Instead, it sent out a pulse. It was not a weapon blast, but a signal. The pulse rolled through every scanner, every communication system, every ship in the fleet. Screens flickered, lights dimmed, and voices cut out for a second. When the systems returned, a single message played. A voice deep and calm spoke across the stars. We are humanity. The fleets froze. Officers looked at each other, unsure if they had truly heard it. Some shouted for records, others demanded scans again. But the message was clear. It repeated once, then vanished, leaving silence once more. Fear spread. Humanity was supposed to be gone, lost in ancient wars, erased from the galaxy. How could a ship this massive exist? How could it still live? The commanders argued again. Some wanted to run, some wanted to fight. But no one made the first move. As they hesitated, the Titan warship shifted its position. Slowly, with heavy grace, it turned toward them. Its hull caught the light of a distant sun, and for a moment every alien watching felt the weight of history pressing on them. They were no longer facing a mystery. They were facing a legend made real. No shot was fired, but the silence carried more power than any cannon. And as the ship loomed larger in their screens, one thought filled every mind. The galaxy would never be the same again. The fleets hung in silence. The alien ships floated like anxious children surrounding a giant they could not understand. Every officer, every crew member, every soldier felt the same question burn inside them. What did the voice mean? We are humanity. Those words carried weight far beyond sound. They were old, filled with memory and shadow. Legends whispered that humanity had been a violent race, a species that rose faster than any other only to vanish in fire. Some stories claimed they destroyed themselves. Others said they had gone to war with the galaxy and were wiped out. But one truth had always remained: humanity was gone. And yet here stood proof against the void. The Titan warship did not move again after speaking. It waited silent like a predator crouched in the dark. The alien commanders argued among themselves, their voices shaking. One shouted, "It must be a trick. No ship of that size could survive for so long. It is an old weapon, abandoned and now reawakened." Another countered, "Weapons do not speak. Weapons do not declare themselves." A third slammed his fist against the console. "Then we must strike it now. If this is truly humanity, if they have returned, they will rise again. We cannot allow it." But no one gave the order to fire. Fear held their hands. The fleet's scanners worked desperately, probing the Titan warship. Numbers spilled across the screens. Each new result was worse than the last. Its hull was made of material stronger than anything they knew, bending their beams of analysis like light through glass. Its core pulsed with energy, so much that their systems could not measure it. The best guess their scientists gave was simple: this ship could power 100 fleets. Some captains wanted to run, to leave the sector and report back to their empires. But fear chained them in place. They felt if they turned their ships away, the Titan would see it as weakness and destroy them instantly. The crews whispered to each other, though they were careful not to speak too loud. Many asked the same question: why was the warship here? If it wanted to attack, it would have done so already. If it wanted to communicate, why had it said nothing more? Then the ship released a new sound. It was not words this time. It was a low, steady tone that cut through the darkness. It vibrated in the bones of every living being across the fleet. It was not loud, yet it was felt. The sound was heavy, ancient, and full of meaning. It was like hearing the first breath of a creature thought long extinct. Some collapsed at their stations, covering their ears, though the sound was not physical. Others whispered prayers to their gods. A few, trembling, spoke again. Humanity. The alien commanders tried to respond. They sent out hails in dozens of languages, coded signals, desperate attempts to speak. But the Titan warship gave no answer. It simply watched. Its weapons stayed quiet, its engines glowed faintly, and its lights blinked across its hull in patterns that no one could read. Inside every alien heart grew the same fear, the fear of the unknown. For centuries they had lived with power. Their fleets ruled their regions. Their weapons were unmatched. Their empires stretched across stars. But standing before this single ship, they realized how fragile they were. An old general whispered words no one wanted to hear. If this is only one warship, how many more exist? That thought spread faster than fire. If humanity had built one Titan, perhaps they had built a fleet. Perhaps they had not vanished at all. Perhaps they had only been waiting. The younger soldiers panicked. They begged their commanders to retreat. But retreat meant shame, and shame meant weakness. Empires did not rise on weakness. And yet none of the leaders could summon courage to order an attack. The standstill dragged on. Seconds felt like hours. The vast ship remained unmoving, and its silence weighed heavier than any storm of weapons. Then, something changed. A pulse of light spread across the Titan's hull. Not a weapon, not an attack, something else. Symbols shimmered in the void, carved in light itself. They were strange, unfamiliar, but they carried intent. The aliens could not read them, but their minds trembled as if the meaning was buried deep in their instincts. One captain gasped, "It is not speaking to us. It is warning us." A warning of what? No one knew. And then the ship stirred again. Slowly, its massive body turned, not toward the fleet, but toward the black horizon of space beyond. Its weapons shifted, its shields flared, and its cannons began to glow. The aliens stared in confusion. Why was it aiming away from them? What was out there, hidden in the darkness? Every scanner in the fleet turned, desperate to see what the Titan had already sensed. At first the void looked empty, just cold stars and drifting rocks. But then the readings came. Movement, energy, ships, hundreds of them. Something else was coming. Something that had stalked the galaxy long before. Something even the proudest empires feared. And the Titan warship, silent until now, was ready to meet it. The aliens realized the truth. Humanity was not here for them. Humanity was here for something far worse. The alien fleets braced themselves as their scanners confirmed what they feared. From the deep void, ships were emerging. Not a few, not dozens, but hundreds. Their shapes were sharp and twisted like claws dragging themselves through the dark. Their hulls pulsed with unnatural light. Their weapons already armed. The alien commanders recognized them at once. The Harrowers, someone whispered. The Harrowers were an old terror, a race that thrived on destruction. They did not conquer. They did not trade. They devoured. Every world they touched turned to ash. Whole colonies had vanished under their swarms, and entire fleets had been broken trying to stop them. For centuries, the galaxy had feared their return. Now they had come, and humanity's Titan warship had aimed its weapons directly at them. The watching fleets grew restless. Some captains shouted orders to retreat, others wanted to fight beside the Titan, but none could move. They were caught between two nightmares, the ancient Harrowers and the unknown power of humanity. The Titan warship stirred again. Its weapons, silent until now, lit up across its enormous frame. Massive cannons rotated, each the size of an alien battleship. Energy lines glowed, stretching along its hull like rivers of light. Shields flared, bending space itself as they unfolded layer by layer. Smaller ships detached from its hangars, swarming around it like armored insects, each one stronger than the best fighter craft the aliens had ever built. For the first time, the galaxy saw the Titan alive, and then it fired. The first blast was not a beam nor a missile. It was a lance of pure energy, compressed into a single pulse. It struck the Harrowers' lead ships and tore through them like paper. One ship, then 5, then 10, all vanished in white fire. The shockwave rippled across the void, shaking even the alien fleets who were watching from afar. Gasps filled the bridges. The aliens had seen wars. They had seen weapons capable of cracking planets, but never had they witnessed destruction so precise, so absolute. The Harrowers roared forward. Their swarm split into waves, rushing toward the Titan like wolves circling prey. They unleashed their own weapons, streams of plasma, torrents of dark matter rounds. The void lit up with fire, but the Titan did not falter. Its shields absorbed the storm, bending the Harrowers' fire into harmless light. Its cannons unleashed volley after volley, cutting deep into the swarm. Fighters from its hangars darted forward, weaving through enemy lines with impossible speed, shredding ships in coordinated strikes. The galaxy had thought humans gone. They had thought their stories exaggerated. But here in this battle, the truth was clear. Humanity had not only survived, they had advanced beyond imagination. Alien officers watched in awe and terror. Some whispered that no fleet in the galaxy could stand against such a ship. Others began to understand. The Titan was not here to conquer. It was here to defend. Humanity had chosen to fight the Harrowers, not them. But fear did not leave their hearts. If a single warship held such power, what would happen if humanity brought more? What if they decided the galaxy itself was a threat? The Harrowers did not break easily. For every ship destroyed, more poured from the void. Their swarm was endless, their hunger unstoppable. The battle raged on. The Titan spun slowly, its guns firing in every direction, each blast a storm that cleared entire formations. Yet even the Titan was tested. Its shields flared harder with each strike. Its fighters began to fall in the chaos. The alien fleets realized that this was no easy fight. Humanity's warship was mighty, but it was not invincible, and still it did not retreat. At the heart of the battle, the Titan opened its core weapon. A glow rose from deep within, brighter than any star in the system. The Harrowers sensed it. They shifted, panicked, their swarm breaking formation for the first time. Even they, creatures of endless hunger, knew fear. The weapon fired. It was not light. It was not fire. It was silence. A void that spread in a straight line, erasing everything it touched. The Harrowers' ships vanished, swallowed by nothingness. When the beam faded, an entire section of space was empty. Not wreckage, not ruins. Empty. The fleets watching could not breathe. They understood now. This was not a warship built to conquer. It was built to end wars. It was built to erase threats so completely that nothing would remain. The Harrowers broke. Their swarm scattered, retreating into the dark, leaving their dead behind. The Titan warship stood firm, smoke rising from its shields, its lights glowing with quiet strength. The aliens whispered again, but now their voices carried awe instead of only fear. Humanity has returned. But the Titan did not celebrate. It did not chase the survivors. Instead, it turned slowly, its massive frame looming once again toward the fleets that had watched. Its weapons dimmed, but its presence pressed harder on their minds. Humanity had shown its power. Humanity had revealed what it could do. Now the question burned stronger than before. What would this warship do next? The void grew quiet again. The harrowers had fled, their swarm scattered into the shadows of space. Broken ships drifted, glowing with dying fire. Silence filled the sector, but it was not peace. It was the silence that comes after a storm, heavy with warning. The alien fleets remained frozen. None of their commanders spoke. None dared to move. They had watched a single ship destroy an enemy that had haunted them for centuries. The harrowers had always been a terror that no empire could truly defeat. But humanity's Titan warship had crushed them, and it had done so alone. The aliens should have felt relief. Instead, they felt dread, because the Titan warship had turned back toward them. Its massive hull moved with calm certainty, its weapons still warm with fire. The fleets trembled. To their eyes, it was not a warship, it was a judgment. If humanity had chosen to attack them now, none of their fleets would survive. Inside the command bridges, arguments broke out. Some officers begged to retreat while they still could. Others demanded they stand their ground. A few even whispered that perhaps humanity could be reasoned with. But none of them could escape the truth burning in their hearts. Their lives now rested in the will of this one ship. The Titan did not fire. It simply drifted closer. Its lights pulsed in patterns like a language written across its skin. Symbols that no alien could read, yet every one of them felt something in their bones, as if the meaning was not learned but remembered. Then, without sound, a projection burst across the void. It was not an image of a human. It was not a warning. It was a history. The fleet saw visions, worlds burning under harrower attacks, colonies screaming as swarms consumed them. But then they saw something worse. They saw humanity standing against that tide, holding back the harrowers in wars no alien had ever known about. They saw fleets of human ships, thousands of them, fighting until only a few remained. They saw worlds sacrificed, soldiers left behind, entire systems burning just to keep the harrowers from spreading. And then, they saw the fall. Humanity's last stand, a final war against the harrowers and against the galaxy itself. Empires that had feared humanity's rise had joined together, striking them while they were weak. Betrayal cut as deep as battle. Humanity vanished into fire, or so the galaxy had believed. The images ended. Silence returned. The alien fleets now understood. Humanity had not been destroyed by its own arrogance. Humanity had not vanished into myth. They had fought, bled, and disappeared into exile because they had carried the weight of an enemy that the rest of the galaxy had refused to face. And now, they had returned. The Titan warship pulsed again, sending another signal. Not words, not sound, but meaning. It reached every ship, every crew member, not through ears, but through the core of their minds. We never forgot. We never forgave. We still fight. The aliens shivered. They realized that humanity's return was not a conquest. It was a reminder. The harrowers were not gone. They had only been wounded. They would rise again. And when they did, humanity would be there. But the message carried another weight, too. Humanity had not forgotten the betrayal of the galaxy. They remembered the empires that had turned on them. They remembered the silence of allies who had done nothing while the harrowers consumed human worlds. The alien commanders looked at each other, unease in their eyes. Humanity had returned as defenders but also as judges. One young officer whispered the thought all of them feared. What if they decide we are the enemy too? No one answered. The Titan warship lingered silent once more. Its weapons cooled, but its presence pressed on every mind like a storm cloud that never lifted. Some part of every alien knew the truth. They would never match this ship. They would never match this species. Humanity had walked through fire that no other civilization had survived. That fire had forged them into something more. The harrowers had been the great enemy of the galaxy. But now a new question burned in every commander's mind. Which was more dangerous? The harrowers that devoured worlds, or the humans who had defeated them? The Titan's lights dimmed. Its engines flared. Slowly it began to turn away, its massive frame sliding back toward the void. Relief rippled across the alien fleets. They thought it was leaving, that humanity would vanish once more into the black. But then the warship stopped. A final signal rippled through space so strong it made every star flicker. It was a message that carried across scanners, comms, and even into the very bones of those who listened. The harrowers are not the only threat. Something greater comes. Remember this day. The lights of the Titan glowed brighter, wrapping its frame in fire. In an instant, it leapt into faster-than-light travel, vanishing into the endless dark. The alien fleets were left behind, silent and shaken. Their commanders stared at the place where the Titan had been, their minds heavy with a truth they could not deny. Humanity had not returned to reclaim the galaxy. Humanity had returned because the galaxy would need them, and if the galaxy did not stand beside them, then humanity would stand alone. The stars were quiet once more. The Titan warship had vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving only silence and the wreckage of the harrowers behind. The alien fleets floated in uneasy formation, their ships scarred, their crews shaken. But silence did not bring peace. The commanders sat in their bridges, staring at empty space, each trapped in the same thought. They had seen the impossible. They had seen humanity, and they knew the galaxy would never be the same. Messages spread quickly. Fleets sent reports to their empires, but no one knew how to write the truth. How could they describe a single warship that had defeated a terror older than any empire? How could they explain that humanity had returned not in weakness but in strength beyond imagination? Some commanders tried to soften the truth, fearing panic. They spoke of an unknown warship, a powerful relic, a mystery yet unsolved. Others told everything word for word, hoping their leaders would believe them. But whether softened or raw, the story spread like fire. The galaxy listened. Worlds that had never spoken of humanity before whispered their name. Old records were pulled from dusty archives. Ancient files reopened. Stories long dismissed as myths now looked like warnings. The humans had been real, and they had been greater than the galaxy had ever admitted. And now, they were back. But the message the Titan had left behind was heavier than any battle. The harrowers are not the only threat. Something greater comes. Those words struck harder than weapons. If the harrowers, monsters that no empire could defeat, were not the true danger, then what was? What enemy did humanity see that no one else could? The galaxy began to fracture under the weight of the question. Some leaders called for alliances. They argued that if humanity had returned, then the only way to survive was to stand beside them. They sent envoys, signals, promises of peace. They wanted to prove to humanity that the galaxy was ready to fight together this time. Others saw a different truth. They whispered that humanity itself was the danger. If they had built one Titan warship, perhaps they had built 100. If they could erase fleets with a single weapon, what would stop them from erasing entire empires? Fear spread like poison. Some leaders demanded new weapons, stronger armies, fleets that could stand against humanity, and some wanted to hide, to wait in silence and hope humanity never looked their way again. But none of them could erase the memory. Every soldier who had seen the Titan warship carried its image burned into their minds. They had felt its presence, its power, and its warning. Even in dreams, they would see the glow of its cannons, hear the silence of its voice, and feel the weight of the words. We are humanity. The galaxy had been given a choice, though none of them understood it yet. Stand with humanity against the unknown, or stand against them and risk becoming the next enemy. On distant worlds, whispers began. Some civilians did not fear humanity at all. They admired them. They spoke of humans as saviors, protectors, guardians against the harrowers. To these people, the Titan was not a weapon of terror, it was a shield. But others cursed their name. They remembered the wars of the past, when humans had fought with unmatched fury. They remembered betrayals and battles where humanity had struck first. To them, the Titan was not a shield, but a blade, and blades cut without mercy. And above all, the mystery lingered. What was the greater threat humanity had warned of? Where did it come from? And when would it arrive? The Harrowers had been a shadow that haunted the galaxy for centuries. But now, humanity's return had cast a darker shadow, one so vast that no one could see where it ended. In the weeks that followed, songs were written, sermons delivered, and children told stories. But every telling ended the same way, with the same chilling truth. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity returned. For some it was a story of hope, for others a story of fear. But for all it was a beginning, not an end. And far away, beyond the reach of any empire, the Titan warship drifted once more. Its lights pulsed like a heartbeat in the void, steady and eternal. Inside its silent halls the humans watched, waited, and remembered. They had returned not for glory, not for conquest, but for survival. The galaxy was not ready for what was coming, but humanity was. And when the greater threat finally appeared, the galaxy would face a choice. Stand beside the humans or be swept away by the storm.